welcome to another episode of the Fans in Motion podcast. As you can see, you are stuck with just me and Brent. There is no Andy again this week as there was 2 weeks ago. Is that a bad thing, Brent, or is that a good thing?
It's a little bit of both. No, seriously. Sucks that he's moving and he's got a lot of things going on. Actually, he's probably 20 minutes away from me right now. It would have been great if he could have popped in and sat here. We'd been, with faces like this, he'd been tugging my cheek like that. I know he would have. But yeah, he's got a lot going on. He just bought the house in Nashville. That's the update. And he's moving sometime. What did he say, at the end of July? August, beginning of August?
Lost track. I know they're on a certain time limit, and I know that they bought the house, and he showed us pics. So here soon, all that will be done. We'll have Andy here every week, but we tried to organize it this week, and it just wasn't in the cards with it being July 4th weekend and everything else. But this episode is going to be great because it is the part 2 of the Eric Levy interview that we did, which lasted almost 3 hours, in its entirety. We split it up. The first part was released last week. We got a lot of great feedback on it. The second part is this episode that you're watching right now. And this episode is really deep into the Night Ranger years. There's a lot of great stories. I especially like the casino story of his first show that he did with Night Ranger. Definitely stay around and listen to that one. And the stories of recording each album. And also you get to see us kind of become fanboy nerds when during the conversation he'll start playing just the parts of Night Ranger songs. And like I said, I think I said in the last episode, you may see me, rubbing my nipples or something like that, man, because it was just so cool as hell. Just we're talking about, I don't even know what song it was now. There was a few of them, but all of a sudden you just hear him playing that lick, and it's just like, holy shit, it's like you're in a little personal concert.
Yeah, Josh was rubbing his nipples, but if you notice, my shoulder was still. There was no motion involved whatsoever. Trust me. But it was fantastic because I took a look at the screen, and I remember seeing Josh just go back at one point like this, and I knew it was just magical.
Yep. So, and this is what these podcasts are about. These are deep, in-depth interviews with people in the band, associated with the band, and we want to know basically their whole career, how they got there. So it's just a really unique interview because we do go really down the rabbit hole with him, especially in that last episode that you guys saw. And we got a lot of great feedback. We hope to, keep doing some cool interviews. We got some album-focused episodes that are going to be coming up. I think the next one will be 7 Wishes. We are talking about doing a collector's episode. We got a lot of collectors out there where we'll dig into, we'll probably do it by album. With Dawn Patrol, we'll show you all the U.S. releases, all the foreign releases, just anything. If there was a tour book, a poster book, anything that went with that particular album and tour. So we got some of those coming up, and we'll do some random stuff lists and whatever else we can think of. You got suggestions, throw them at us. We'll definitely take it into consideration. So with that, with there being any new Night Ranger news, well, with the band, not particularly. It's been kind of quiet, obviously, from Jack and Kelly's side. Brad really hasn't given any update in the last few weeks about the solo album. I would assume that him and Gary Moon are still working on it. But we did get a new song, July 3rd, from Joel Hoekstra, Eric Levy and company, from their new project called Echo Bats. And that was a little bit left field. I wasn't kind of expecting that. Brent, was you expecting a summery Beatles poppy tune?
I was not, and when I first heard it, my mind didn't go to Beatles. It went to Saigon Kick. Saigon Kick is very Beatle-esque. That's why it should have went straight to the Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounded like a Saigon Kick tune because it was more modern. Absolutely loved it. Absolutely.
I mean, yeah, it could have been on Saigon Kick, maybe off like Water, Devil in the Details. I definitely think off those two albums. And if you listen to Saigon Kick, they're definitely a band that goes from heavy to, from
whatever,
to left or right, which I like Saigon Kick. But yeah, it's definitely got a fun, catchy, poppy feel to it. I don't know what I was expecting. Just when you think of Trans-Siberian Orchestra and TNT and James Lomenzo, White Lion, Megadeth, all that stuff. I think you just have a picture in your head, and it was just very, it was not what I was expecting, but that's good.
It wasn't pigeonholed, that's for sure.
It was catchy. And it was cool. You saw some of the members' kids were in the video. Joel's 2 kids were in the video, so that was kind of neat. So I'd definitely be interested to see what other tracks may come from this project. And Tony Harnell is a great singer. That was great as well. And your boy on drums there with a cigar during the video, Matt Starr. So it was well done. It was nice. It was a great track to release on July 3rd. Just forget all the crap that's come with 2020. So definitely pleased hearing that, and I hope they release something else down the road.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So let's. I want to bring these albums out. We had talked about these on a previous episode, and I'm just going to briefly show them. I think it was the Greg Eckler maybe episode, or maybe the episode after. We were talking about someone had posted a K-Tail compilation vinyl record that had Rubicon on it, and I said there was 2 or 3 releases. I dug out my 2. I think they showed the one that was blue in the photo, but these were your original mixtapes, or if you're streaming and you go to a channel, and I'll go to the Night Ranger channel and play random songs. These were basically your initial mixtapes and stuff. But here is. It's called the Hot Ones. Rubicon is on. It's a 2-record set. Their photo is not on there, but they are on record 2. I take that back. They are on record 1, side 1, track 4, with I'm Gonna Take Care of Everything. So these were, kind of a good deal to get on, because it meant you had a decent hit. I mean, it's got Billy Joel, B.J. Thomas, Casey and the Sunshine Band, Jimmy Buffett, April Wine. So it's got, Player, Baby Come Back, you can't beat that. So this was the orange cover, the one I was talking about. And this is
a lot of AM gold on there.
And this is the blue one. I think this is the one they posted on the site.
Yes, that's it.
This is actually a double album as well, but it's a gatefold. Still no picture of Rubicon on there, but they are on record 2, side 2, track 7. And again, it's the same track. I'm going to Take Care of Everything. But again, Casey and the Sunshine Band, Player, Bay City Rollers, The Babies, Kiss is on here, Alice Cooper. So if you're a completist, this is what you're looking for. I thought there was a third in there maybe, but I guess either there is no third, or I do not own it. So or I own it and I put it somewhere else. I don't know. But those are the 2 that are out there. So we had mentioned it briefly before, and I just thought I'd get those out. Brent, you got anything new out there that you picked up in the last week or so?
Only thing new I picked up was the new Lit video. They went back and released a song that was a Japanese-only bonus track from right around 2007 called Get Back. Get on YouTube, check it out. Great song. But no, that's the only thing I've acquired new.
All right, you need for all of those out there listening, Brent likes Lit. Like is probably a big understatement. So tune in.
I love him as much as Night Ranger.
Tune in here every week for your Night Ranger and Lit updates.
Hey, it's just happening. It just they got things going on. So, and what do you got new?
Some of you may have heard this band. This is the Revolution Saints Light in the Dark Deluxe box set. It's got the owl on the cover, but if you turn it upside down, it's a, I don't know, a laughing dragon or something. But comes in a box here. Take the box top off. If you're a Revolution Saints fan, and those that don't know, Revolution Saints is a band that has Jack Blades from Night Ranger, Doug Aldrich from the Dead Daisies and Burning Rain, and Dean Castronavo with Journey, Dead Daisies as well. Comes with t-shirt. I do not think you get to pick the size. I think it just comes with a large. Vinyl record of the album. It also comes with the big ass poster. There is that Jack. Did I get to show Jack here? There's Jack.
No, I don't think he would appreciate when you call him the big ass poster and showing his face. You know.
Well, it is a big ass poster. It's got the promotional flat for the album. The deluxe CD, which comes with the CD live bonus tracks and a bonus DVD. Comes with a sticker, but the sticker just flew off to the side, so we're going to, imagine a sticker. And then the rest of the box, it's pretty detailed. So,
those were on sale, weren't they?
Well,
or are they still on?
Frontiers just this last week put it up on their site for sale. I don't know how much they were. I did just go check, and they were already out of stock. Oh. Amazon has them on sale. I don't know if they still are, but they were $35. So for $35
for all that, that's a pretty good deal for all that.
So you get the vinyl record and the CD and poster and a sticker there that's laid on the floor and a shirt. So go to Amazon, and they should have them there if they're still in stock. Like I said, they were $35 when I got that a few weeks ago.
It's a good deal.
Anything from the website, Brent, that you want to mention?
You froze up on me. I'm sorry, but I think you were asking about the Fans in Motion page.
Correct. Anything on there you want to share?
Yeah, I got two things. I found a really cool post from. Pardon me. I'm going to try to say your name correctly. Sue Frasick. Sue was talking about her buddy Bill Nittner, who's no longer with us. She had posted a picture of him and Joel Hoekstra. Evidently, he was a huge Joel Hoekstra fan. And I thought that was a really cool shout-out that she gave to her friend. And Joel even commented on it. So wanted to recognize that. I thought that was pretty cool. And give me a second. My iPhone just went crazy. And to our Canadian friend, Bill Klink. Bill's been pretty active on the page. And he was wishing us all a happy 4th of July from Canada. I had done a couple Canadian Fans in Motion logos, and we were talking about them back and forth. Well, Bill, since you're our new, since you're a cool partner, I went ahead and developed you a Bill Klink Night Ranger logo, Take off, you hoser. I'll email it to you after this episode comes out. So that's what that's what I tell everybody. If you're active on the page and you get recognized, you might get a logo. If you watch these episodes, you might get a logo.
Bill, I think you're lucky that you weren't born with the last name of Klinkinski. Or he may be.
he would have been Klink still.
So, yeah, if you
the template's only so big, It's a template.
Well, what you got to do is you got to start using the stretch Night Ranger logo for Man in Motion.
Don't give me any ideas. Don't put me in hell.
All right. So with that, why don't we head into the part 2 of the Eric Levy interview? Brent, you got anything before we head into that?
Yeah, I had one more thing I was going to do here, but I think I just might have. No, I did not. I have one more shout out that I'm going to sing, actually. We'll know who this is about. Can we hear the music? Can we hear that? This is going to be really bad. I don't claim to be a singer. Let's get the glasses on. Get ready to laugh. Beth, we know you're posting, but we can't approve them right now. Me and the boys are potting with Eric Levy. That's a big effing wow. Just a few more hours, and we'll be right there for you. I think Josh and Andy are laughing. Oh, Beth, what can we do? Beth, what can we do? Yeah, that's why I'm a drummer. But no, Bethany, she posts a ton to the page, so I figured I'd come up with a special tribute, put my Peter Criss glasses on, or Eric Singer, and make Josh just think, why is he on this show? So with that, no more further ado, Josh, part 2?
Yeah, and if you guys need therapy after seeing that, just call your local mental health facility. And those were Eric Singer glasses, by the way. I could tell by the how they were. Anyways, here we are, part 2. Eric Levy. We get real deep into the Night Ranger, his era of Night Ranger, recording the albums, all the good stuff. So enjoy.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, it's 2011 was like it was like a fairy tale in a lot of ways. Just musically coming where I'd come from, and it's the path that I was on. It was like all of a sudden, boom, here I am, and on this completely different path. And it's like now looking back, sure, I can see how everything was giving me momentum to get where I am. But at the time, we played. Well, the first show that we played, the first show that I ever played with Night Ranger was at a casino in Sacramento, and so that was really great because what's that?
I said, is he right, Josh?
Well, it's actually right outside county lines of Sacramento.
Sorry about that, Eric.
Not at all. Thunder Valley Casino, right? That's
You're right.
That was my so I
great.
It was a great first show because it kind of felt like, I'm hopping in the car with my keyboards, just driving to a gig, and just happened to be in Sacramento with Night Ranger. So I get there and I remember like opening up my gear bag and having all kinds of cables in there and like, okay, what do we need for this for this show? And the crew guys just looking at me horrified, like, who are you? You're on this show tonight? Okay.
What was the first big venue with Night Ranger, or maybe not a big venue, but maybe like an important show, just whatever, where you were like, holy shit, this is really happening?
Yeah, I think by show number 2 was when it really sank in, because if you want to hear it,
we want to hear
that first show. After I played that first show in Sacramento, I brought my keyboards back out to my car, and I'm getting ready to drive home, and I got a text from one of the crew guys saying, "Hey, we're using our food vouchers here in the cafe. If you want to come join us for a bite to eat before you drive home." And I was like, "Yeah, okay." So I parked the car and walked into the casino, and I'm just kind of looking around like, okay, where's this cafe at? And a couple people walked over and they're like, "Hey, great show tonight. Would you sign this?" And I was like, "Sure, yeah, thanks for coming." And then a couple more people were there and they're like, "Hey, great show. Can we get a picture with you?" And I was like, "Sure." And then like before I knew it, I realized that I was completely encircled by people, and it was just me. And there were people all around me, but they were all smiling. So, I didn't feel freaked out, but I was like, okay, this is new. This has never happened before. Wow. And then a security guy came over and said, "Hey, do you need an escort?" And I said, "Yeah, I guess so. I guess I do." And so then that was the point where I was really like, okay, yeah, this is different from what I'm used to. But the next show I played, show number 2, was opening for Journey in Mexico City at an arena.
Whoa.
10,000 people or so that night. So yeah, right. It was like boom. It's off we go. Mexico, Puerto Rico with Journey, and then the record came out, and then hit Japan, and then straight to Europe for a few weeks of touring around with a bunch of bands. And that was my first ever bus tour. Like I had never even been on a tour bus before that European stint. And they're all like telling me this is like the worst bus. Don't think that this is normal.
You're like, it's good, man. I like it.
So
Yeah.
So 2011, if I'm correct, was obviously a big year, professionally. But I saw Night Ranger. I think it was maybe it was 2012. You're going to be able to tell me. I went and saw Night Ranger in Portsmouth, Ohio, and obviously I don't know any dates because I can't remember a show as that. But it was 2011, 2012, probably 2012. Portsmouth, Ohio, and the show starts, and you're not on stage. They have another individual playing keyboards. Where were you at that show? Do you remember?
Yeah, that was that was the day my first child was born.
Whoa!
That was September 1st, 2012.
All right. So it's not So not September. Actually, I got the birth certificate right here. It was September 11th. So yeah, September.
Yeah.
So life's going good at that point. 2012 also, we have 24 strings and,
24
and
strings
a drummer.
Yeah.
This was, I think, so this would have been when Jack Blades had custody of Will, right? Because I think Tommy Shaw.
Will was with us that night. Yeah.
Well, I think Tommy.
Will played.
I think Tommy Shaw and Jack Blades have like a custody agreement. Like I think one gets him 1 year, and then I don't know who the residential parent is, but yeah. So Will plays with you guys on this one.
He did, yeah.
Ron Nevison had some input on this. How was it working? Because Ron Nevison has obviously a long history, 70s with all these, engineering great albums, producing great albums in the 80s. He really comes into the Night Ranger circle in 1990, 1992 with Damn Yankees. He produces Neverland. So what was it like working with Ron Nevison?
Wow. I actually just spoke to Ron last week, maybe. There's a group of teenage kids, these 2 teenage boys, very talented, called V Squared here in the Bay Area, and generally every summer for however many summers it's been now, it seems like they'll do a new album, and they get Ron to record it and produce it and mix it, and Ron calls me. so I still get to work with him. And yeah, whenever I do, it's like if I can get him on telling any kind of story from one of these, like, the Who Quadrophenia, or whatever of these super historic projects he's been a part of, I just try and get him going and just sit back and listen. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's I've learned a lot from him too, just in the recording process, like the way that he hears my keyboards. I remember the first time that I maybe not the first time, but I remember once playing a piano part on a song, and he's like, let's just grab that 6K and pump like 8 dB into it, and I was like, what? That seems pretty extreme. And then I heard it, and I was like, wow, okay, I totally hear where he's coming from. It's like there's a great spot for that piano part to live with everything else. Mm. So yeah, it's whenever I have the opportunity to work with Ron, I just try and learn, just soak up as much as I can.
That's awesome. Hey,
you need to ask him a favor for me. Ask him to go back and remix Kiss Crazy Nights that he produced from 1987.
Oh no.
It's a great album. but it just needs a little bit more guitar.
Oh, a little more guitar, huh?
Well, Kiss has never been a keyboard band, and it's
Of course,
very
right.
keyboard prevalent. It's a great album.
Well, in 1987, in the spirit of the times, that was exactly what they were doing, and that's what the
Bon
genre.
Jovi was doing it.
They gave 'em what they wanted.
Everybody was doing it.
Kiss wanted to be Bon Jovi.
Eric, can you let's jump over to High Road. Can you get us to that and tell us, this was such a great CD, and
Thank you.
you have some, I think out of
the bonus tracks alone were incredible.
Well, and you can tell me, I think on this one is where they showcase your keyboards a lot on this track, on this whole album. There's so much of you in this, and I don't know if there's differences as far as between the three, but this one really felt to me like you were really, really involved in this album as far as your keys. Tell us a little bit about that if you can.
Wow, thank you. Yeah, I guess by the point that we recorded High Road, I was by that point, we all knew each other a bit better, and I think I had a much better concept of somewhere in California was magical because I was walking in completely new to the whole thing. I had never, at that point, I hadn't even practiced Sister Christian at home yet, and here we are making brand new music together. But by High Road, I think I had a better feel for the band maybe, and better idea of how I could fit in. But recording that album, they did invite me to be more a part of it. And Jack was at that time, he was still living 15 minutes away from me. So on that album as well, we were using his recording studio as our central hub and recording things over there. And I remember the day that the High Road song came up, and that was Jack called me over, and I think that day it might have just been me and Willa Vankovich was there that day, as was and Colin, Jack's son Colin was there. Yeah. And Jack was like, hey, Colin came up with this idea for a song, and it was High Road. And so Jack was like, hey, I think we could use like a classic Night Ranger intro for this song. Do you have any ideas? And so so I just played, and the first thing that fell out of my fingers was like,
oh man,
that was the first thing that came out, and Jack right away was like, yeah, that's great. And so that became the part. And then from there, it was we did a lot of strings on that song. I remember it was we did multiple passes of strings and ended up layering them. So it doesn't sound like necessarily like set string parts, but it kind of creates this atmosphere of strings holding everything together.
Well, I love on that song towards the end where everybody drops out and it's just you and Jack. That little tiny part. I was like, oh, it's so cool. And what about Only for You? Yeah. That's the best, man. We're getting a private concert here. This is the greatest thing ever.
I think when I came up with that part, Jack was like, hey, let's just have this part be keyboards and vocal. Do you have any ideas? And I think I had just played like a Bruce Springsteen song on a gig, and I was like, well, how about like this Springsteen thing? And Jack was like, that's cool, but what if you play that higher? And that's when I came up with what ended up being the part. Yeah,
that's so cool. What about Only for You Only?
Mm-hmm.
The piano part in that, it's a great song. Come on.
Thank you very much.
And what's amazing is Andy didn't take his shirt off, so that's good.
I'm looking for my lighter.
Hey,
wow,
Eric, why we're all sitting here acting like
I'm more than willing to take my shirt off.
All right.
Eric, can you put my drums behind me?
So, Eric, before you play your next track,
this is great.
Was there a difference in the creative process between Somewhere in California and High Road? Or was it the same was it the same creative, process? And if it was the same, what is that process? Are you guys all in the studio banging out tracks? Does, Jack, Brad, Kelly, do they bring in just demos? How does that, go along? Or do you bring in something and say, hey guys, we're recording this?
Well, I would never put it that way. the one song that I ever did bring in was Only for You Only, where I had come up with the the verse, the intro, verse, chorus, beginning of the bridge. I guess I had come up with all those as ideas, but then that song never, I never would have been able to make it what it became if it weren't for then the Brad and Jack and Kelly being like, oh, let's try this and let's try this and let's try this, and next thing I know, there's these wonderful modulations, and the song builds, and the melody that Jack heard on it still gives me chills when I hear him sing that. It just blows my mind. So, but yeah, that was the one song where I came up with something at home and emailed it off and said, hey, what do you think? Everything else has been others' ideas, but it's, I guess, because of my perspective, High Road was different, because somewhere in California I was just brand new, having cool, let's all be creative and make something, whereas High Road, I was like, okay, this is, I had much better idea. This is the classic sound of the band, and this is felt like I was able to.
At this time, are you still 15 minutes away from Jack, or had he moved by then?
During High Road, I was still 15 minutes away, and we still, we recorded, for the most part, we recorded that album at Jack's studio. I think I did end up recording maybe a couple days for that album over at Brad's studio. But for the most part, that was still Jack's studio.
So I don't have many complaints with what Night Ranger does, but I do have this one. I'm going to do an Andy here.
More cowbell.
And let me know if you can hear this. This is one of the best Night Rangers.
Doesn't work, Josh. Don't do it. It doesn't work.
How did you guys leave that off of the album? And
yes,
that's not a bonus track. That is the track.
That was always one of Todd Confessori's favorites too. He would write like these set lists for us that he knew we would never play, but every once in a while he'd be like, "Why don't you play this?" And the Mountain song was always on there. Like that's the song we just heard.
It's
right?
phenomenal.
How does that not make the cut? Like,
so, let me give a little background for those who don't know. So, there's different versions of CDs. Japanese has a bonus track and stuff. This was, I think, just off the Best Buy. So if you went in and bought it like the first week from Best Buy, it had L.A. No Name as a bonus track, which was awesome. That was recorded for somewhere in California. But
that was a bonus track in Japan.
Correct. And you are correct, sir.
Thank you.
yes.
But then it had two tracks, Mountain Song, which is the one, I'm here saying they were wrong not putting it on the album, and Don't Even Know Your Name. But yeah, I mean,
love that one too.
You had a
That's right.
You had a hand in writing Mountain Song, correct? If my memory serves.
Yeah, I think that was the one song where I think Jack was like, let's actually write something where it's all five of us in a room writing a song together. And I think we actually did that at a sound check maybe, or I don't remember where we were the day but I think it was before a show somewhere. And we just, all five of us up on stage coming up with ideas. And but yeah, the guitar riffs for that was fully Brad and Joel spearheading those. Yeah.
But anyways, that's I want to speak to the manager next time you guys are going to leave that off of a CD. But that's a great song.
I wish all these songs were like, I have Apple Music. And I remember whatever time I was looking for some of these bonus tracks, and I was like, wow, I subscribed to Apple Music, and I thought I got all the songs. And I don't even get to hear all the songs.
Get a hold of Josh.
St. Bartholomew, wasn't that their bonus track on Apple?
Oh,
no, St. Bartholomew's on. No, that's
I thought that was
no,
no.
What was the Apple bonus
track?
I don't.
That one we actually used to play.
I don't know. Did Apple? I think Apple had the bonus on Somewhere in California. One was like Dirty Deeds, and one was Amazon was Coming of Age. I think.
Coming of Age, right?
Which So I mean, you're here talking to us right now, Eric. So you survived meeting Ted Nugent.
I met him. I met him when he came in to record Coming of Age, Jack introduced us. And the first thing that Ted said to me was, "Can I swear on your show?"
Yeah.
No.
Okay. No.
Fuck no.
You gotta put in this. You got a swear jar, so we're gonna make some money off you. Let's go.
As he's shaking my hand, the very first thing he said to me was, "I effing hate keyboard players."
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But he was smiling as he said it.
There you go.
Well, at least he didn't say, "You greasy son of a bitch." Let's go get some deer and eat. I can hear him right now.
Wow, that's great.
First time I met Ted Nugent, he grabbed me by the neck and put me in a headlock and started giving me noogies. Because he asked me how many times I had seen him in concert before Damn Yankees. I said, honestly, I saw you open for Kiss in 1986 in Columbus, Ohio. And he was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Nice.
It's true.
So Eric, let me ask you this question. Do you collect stuff of Night Ranger? Like, here's the vinyl of High Road. Is that something that you seek out, and keep for your own collection, or is that just something that doesn't interest you in, being in your archives or anything like that, like tour shirts, anything like that?
Yeah, I've got I think I call it a memory bin is the labeling that I put on it, where it's I don't know, I've got all kinds of stuff in there, from old laminates to whatever. I'll be cleaning out my suitcase at the end of a tour, and that's maybe I'll keep that, maybe I'll put that in the souvenir box. And t-shirts, I know I've got a bunch of Night Ranger t-shirts around. Yeah, maybe someday, I don't know, maybe my kids will want all that stuff.
Yeah.
If you need my address, I can't. I fit you mostly in a 2XL.
Well,
3XL does work too, but 2XL, just
that's the sweet spot. Okay,
sure. Eric's got a lot of 2XL.
Just trying to help you out.
Well, Eric, I'm going to need you when I fill out my will, because my kid is not going to want 23 copies of Seven Wishes on vinyl from around the world. So I've always said I need to get a hold of Jack and Brad and okay, your kids, your grandkids, I just need their names so my attorney can get a hold of you guys. So because you guys are going to be the only ones who are wanting Seven Wishes from Argentina. But that's cool that you have that that box, and one day it'll be kind of neat to go through it with your kids. And
absolutely.
So
absolutely, yeah.
So from High Road, we go to.
Yes.
35 string. Right. 35, whatever that's called.
If you look really close, I'm on the cover.
And
along with Eric.
Cover of that album.
Along with Eric, I'm on the cover.
So I see Eric.
He's on
you gotta
the
look
side.
really close.
He's in the very back row. And if you open it up, I found him with a magnifying glass.
Yeah.
And I sent a picture of him and Gary at that show.
Well,
I couldn't miss that, Eric.
All right.
Such an epic night.
So
man.
they did make up for not putting Mountain Song on High Road by at least not putting you prominently on the cover, Andrew.
But I do have a. I wish, again, with the set list, I wish you guys would have done some different songs off of. I have other favorite songs off of Don't Let Up that you guys kind of surprised and played, but.
But
that's right. That was the first time we played some of those.
Absolutely, yeah.
Songs, yeah.
So this is 2016, and how great was it in 2016 that we're getting a new Night Ranger live album with how great it was with the packaging, and this was where Carrie Kelly makes his debut with the band. Was that a I mean, I know Carrie had substituted a little bit with Joel from 2000, I think from 2012 to this time. But was that a big change for you going from Joel to Carrie, or is that was it just basically seamless?
Well, in the way that both Joel and Carrie have really embraced the role of the really embracing the Jeff Watson guitar parts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And really, yeah, sure. Joel and Kelly or Carrie have different styles, no doubt about that. But yeah, both of them. It's like they really embrace those parts. They both just tear it up, just absolutely tear it up.
Yeah, how cool is that night after night to look across the stage and you're watching two guitar players just shred?
Oh, it's killer. Yeah, it's great.
And the good way, the good thing with you performing with Carrie is, I mean, I think it was just time that Carrie joined Night Ranger, because I think it was he's played with every other band that that I think it was just that was the only band left on the list. So it's got to be nice, Eric, if you ever want to reach out to any musician. I would assume that Carrie probably has their phone number.
He's got to be the most connected musician I know. He's the one where it's like, yeah, every time we're playing with like any one of these bands, it's like he seems like he knows everybody.
Mm.
Wow.
And he's what you see on stage of him jumping around and having fun, that really is him in real life. Like he's a phenomenal person to be around, just full of energy and good energy, and
first time,
great guy to be in a band with.
First time I ever saw Carrie Kelly, I saw Slash in a small club in Cleveland in 2001, and it was big as my basement, and 50 people, 60 people for Slash of Guns N' Roses, and they had but it was I just remember, who's this guy on rhythm guitar just playing all these Izzy tracks, and it was Carrie Kelly, and that was just you have that one show that kind of sticks out in your head, like I saw Slash in a club with 50 people, and Carrie Kelly was there. So it was cool. When he started working with Night Ranger, I had a little familiarity with him, and he definitely brings a lot to the band. And it was probably cool for you that you were no longer the new guy.
Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, in fact, Todd Confessori, our former tour manager, who I keep bringing up, made me change my bag tags, because when I first joined the band, I got the number 5, and Joel was number 4, and then when Joel left and Carrie came in, Todd's like, okay, you're number 4 now. I was like, I'm fine with 5. Like, I'm real, this is fine. I've already got these tags all over my bags. He's like, no, you're 4. Here, you put these on your bags now, because Carrie's 5. You can't get mixed up. You have to put these on your bags. So.
That's great. That's a fun story.
So at this, go ahead, Brent.
So when he first joined, I mean, he was great. I just remembered how different he looked from the. He looked so heavy metal compared to everybody in the band.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But I can't imagine him any other way at this point now.
Always smiling, chewing gum.
He's phenomenal.
My favorite Carrie moment from like early on. I hope he's not mad at me for telling this story, but one of his first shows, we get to we're playing When You Close Your Eyes, and it's supposed to be Carrie playing guitar solo, and like I realized that I'm not hearing anybody playing the solo, and I look over and like and Carrie was like jamming with Jack, and it like he was so into like interacting and jamming with Jack that he forgot to play the solo. Oh. I was like, hell yeah, there's a lead guitar player, because lead guitar player. I think of lead guitar players as being like the wide receivers of music, because it's like you want somebody who's got the gall to be able to stand up there and pull off an epic guitar solo. You need somebody who's got that kind of confidence. Who's like, yeah, throw me the ball, give me the ball, but it's. But in Carrie's case, somebody who's like, yeah, I'm just like, so vibing on like jamming with the bass player that I forget that I'm supposed to be playing a solo. It's that to me, I was like, hell yeah,
That's awesome.
Right on. Yeah.
Yeah.
The impression I got from Carrie back when I was talking about how I weaseled my way backstage and met you guys, I had walked up. Jack was doing something. We were waiting to get our picture taken. I asked Kelly how his heart was doing. And he goes, "Oh, I'm fine. Why?" I said, "Well, because I said I play drums and I can, if you need me, if you have an episode, I'm out there." And Carrie,
I'm just saying.
Carrie just starts dying laughing. So Jack walks back up, and you guys are all chuckling. And Carrie's trying to go, "Oh, this guy, what's the thing?" And Kelly's looking at me like, "You asshole." But yeah, Carrie seems like he's an instigator.
Yeah, he's an instigator.
Yeah, he seems that way.
In a fun way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He really enjoyed that. So
you read him well. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So at this time, are you guys still managed by Doc McGee? 2016.
Oh, when did the entire time that I've been with the band, we've had James Blade, Jack's son, is our manager, which is tremendous.
Well, I mean the Doc McGee management company, though, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I first got in the band, James was with McGee Entertainment. And still, I talked to you, Josh, the other day, right? Did we, about the Kiss?
I don't think we talked about Kiss.
I think I just saw the Kiss dolls in your. Who is that? The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Yeah.
Anyway, I remember 2013 we were still with Kiss because we played on the Kiss cruise. Oh, it is the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Is that Dracula? No, that's
Gene behind him.
That's Gene.
Thank you very much.
Oh, and there's Elvis.
I just wanted a sandwich, man.
There's Elvis. Nice.
It's a ugly ass Gene Simmons nutcracker back here.
So I know in 2013 we were still with McGee because we played on the Kiss cruise, and I think maybe every band on that cruise was with McGee at the time. It was just across the board, which was great. Like getting a chance to hear all the other McGee bands.
Yeah, well,
and meet those guys.
I'm looking.
But
I'm looking for an in because I need to launder some money.
Whoa.
Zing.
I asked James that one time, and he did a like a live thing. I'm like, "Hey, did you work for Doc McGee?" Yeah. It's like, "Hey, can you give me some hints or some tips?" But so from there, you got the live show, the live CD, live.
Oh, right, we were talking about that.
Chicago.
That's right. So that show was like if I had to list my top 3 shows with the Brides of Funkenstein, Long Beach Funk Festival, that 35 years in a night in Chicago would be absolutely up among them because I hadn't been to that house. I had never headlined at that House of Blues. I had only ever played there back when I was still living in Chicago, and only then, if I was playing with a band that happened to be local support for a touring band coming in that night. So the only times I had ever played at that House of Blues were in opening sets. So getting a chance to, come back to Chicago, having lived in California, and get to come back and headline the House of Blues, and we're recording the DVD, and the place was packed, and I had, all kinds of family there. And before the show, in his brilliance, Todd Contasori, he's like, "Give me your cell phone." I was like, "What?" This is like maybe 2 hours before the show's about to start. He's like, "You can't be distracted with all this. You have to give me your phone." and I was like, "Can you give me 5 minutes?" And he said, "Yeah." So I just like copied and pasted the same text to everybody. Like, I don't know where you're supposed to park. Todd, the tour manager, is confiscating my phone. Thanks for coming. I'll see you after. And just like copied and pasted that to everybody and handed it my phone and like felt so much better because I was like, okay, now I can actually focus on, we're going to record a DVD and we actually have this show that we're here to play. This is actually why we're here right now. So that's one of my biggest memories about that night. But just the feeling of playing that room, and
it's a great night.
Incredible.
The crowd was incredible. The set was incredible. No opening band, just Night Ranger kicking ass. I was like texting Brent, like I'm screenshotting. I'm like, dude, look, they're playing Seven Wishes. He's like, okay, I'm watching it.
And of course we get Jack was asking me beforehand. He's because he was doing his bit of trying to get people to participate in the High Road song.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we'd be showing up in different cities, and he'd say, "Oh, like pump. Okay, if you're rooting for your local sports team, now try it." And so before the show, he's like, Cubs here or the White Sox? I was like, the Cubs. and he's like, okay, and who are we rooting against? And I'm like, the Cardinals. So yeah, but it's like, of all the times to have Jack immortalized on a DVD, 2016, which was the year that the Cubs won the World Series.
Oh yeah.
Doing that whole shtick, and I think he actually came out in the end in a Cubs uniform. I think. Yeah. I want to say he might have come out for the encore. Wow, what an amazing night! Just in so many ways, just amazing night that was.
So then after that, you guys come out with this amazing CD called "Don't Let Up."
And
Tell us about.
For the record, we did a Night Ranger ranking a couple weeks ago. It was in my top 5. That's how much I love this album.
This disc, we all loved it. It is so good.
Phenomenal.
I wanted you to play "Comfort Me" at the 35 of the night. I was like, that's just I love that song.
I wish we would play that one too. That's one of my favorites.
Listen, put it on the set list. Just sneak it in real quick.
Oh.
No one will be mad. Trust me. Tell Jack it's fine. It's fine.
I want to say there were original lyrics to that song that I can't repeat on a podcast.
Well, it does. If you say it fast, I think I know where you're going.
We can edit that out.
You know what? You know what's really...
Oh, my Lord. I didn't even think of that. You're terrible, Eric.
I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything.
I know where he's going.
And is Jack the sole songwriter on that version?
And then who's he singing to?
I'm never going to be able to sing that song the same way again.
Well, if it's where you're going, what's funny is the reason why I could never get into that song, because when I was in basic training, your drill sergeant, they'll give you everybody a nickname, and we had an individual that was with us. Last name was Comfort.
Oh.
Well, legally in the military, for the drill sergeant, his last name wasn't Comfort. So yeah, that song is just like I can't get into that. Just I'm still scarred from basic training.
That is such a great song.
I never made that connection.
But
I'm gonna.
Hope I haven't ruined it. I didn't say it.
My now 18-year-old daughter sings that in the car with me.
I'm
like,
awkward.
I don't know if that's a song I'd want to sing with my daughter.
It's just a fun song.
Oh, shit.
Or what's
Took a turn.
Or
wait
she's a One Direction fan, so
what do you want her to sing? Somehow, some way.
Or Don't Let Up.
Don't Let Up's her favorite song.
Well, Don't Let Up. You should have heard those. You should have heard the original lyrics to that one.
This is just such a great CD, Eric. You guys really.
Thank you.
I mean, man, we were all so excited when this came out. I was like, this thing is front to back, great CD. It's just, you guys did it perfect on this one.
Wow, thank you. And this one had a much different process because by this point, Jack had moved.
Yeah.
So it was more remote recording, and the engineer, the excellent, wonderful Anthony Fox, who's engineered he's mixed. He mixed Somewhere in California. He mixed High Road. He mixed Don't Let Up, and he's the one who kept us all organized because everybody's just sending him tracks from wherever, from all over, from wherever we were.
Let me jump in here a little bit. So take a little time and talk to us a little bit about Todd and what he meant to your time. When you guys were together with the band, and just tell us a little bit about what kind of guy he was and how important he was to you.
Wow, thanks for asking that question. It's my feeling about, like, for anyone who ever had an opportunity to meet Todd, he was it's like he could tell stories for days about different acts he had worked with or groups he had worked with. His resume was like just insane. The number of big tours he had been on and people who he had worked with. So, but I think what most impressed me about Todd was his commitment. Like he was committed like 100%. Like he was never a guy who was going to be like, I was just too busy and I didn't get that done. That was never him. It was like, he'd be like, yeah, I was up till 7 a.m. and I slept for a couple hours and here I am, let's go. And then he would like marathon sleep to catch up. But it's like, and then he'd be like we'd play our show and then he'd be on the phone all night with Japan lining up the next tour. He was just like his level of energy. But the way that he brought that together, it almost reminds me of Michael Jordan. Wow, okay. I'm comparing Todd to Michael Jordan. But I grew up in Chicago. And the thing that impressed me about Michael Jordan as a kid was like, yeah, he was like super talented. Of course, he was like phenomenally talented. But what really made him great was his commitment. It's like he entered the league as, this guy who wasn't a great defensive player. And by his middle years, he's like all defensive team every year. He entered the year as a guy who didn't really necessarily have a shot. And by the end of it, like the rainbow jumper was, sorry if I'm losing you on, I was into the Bulls.
No, man. I just finished watching the documentary.
Sure. But yeah, Todd, it was like, it's like in addition to bringing all this experience and all this knowledge, him just bringing this commitment to be the best that he could be, like to be the greatest that he could be, was just incredible. Yeah, and just having a human being like that, looking out for me,
yeah,
for almost a decade was, that's the. I think I grew from the experience of him. He sadly passed away last year, but right. But yeah, I feel like he, in a way, like he was my older brother, who was just always looking out for me. And it didn't matter if I was on the road or if I was at home. If I got a slightly jolting, Facebook message from somebody, I could send it to him, and would you just check this out? And he'd be like, yeah, you're fine, or what, But it was like just knowing that there's this, like superhero of a human being who's like looking out for me, all the time. Yeah.
Well, and it's definitely important to have, especially going from, the life that you had pre-Night Ranger to joining Night Ranger, and you're going from, you're going from just a regular train to like a bullet train, and to have, to have someone there to help guide you had to be really, really helpful and important, and probably, you probably didn't even realize it at the time, but looking back, you realize probably how important it was to have someone there to help guide you. We talked a little bit about your wife, Wendy. So how many critters you got running around the house?
We have 3 kids, 7-year-old girl, 3-year-old girl, and a 7-month-old boy.
Wow. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Kids are awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing. I remember.
It goes fast.
It does seem to, yeah.
Yep.
I like them better when they're stationary, like when they're young. I can just put them down, and I can, 2 hours later they're still there, and then about 1 years old they hit, and you don't have that anymore.
All bets are
our
off.
7-month-old is definitely old enough to get himself in serious trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's able to crawl, but he's not able to control it. So he'll just run into stuff and it falls on him.
That sounds
like Josh.
Yeah, me on a Saturday night after some Jaeger. So is the 7-year-old old enough to realize, my daddy has a pretty cool job?
Not to tangent, but my first, after the Elvis impersonator, And after I went and started off with school, I hooked up with this band that played a lot in the northwest suburbs of Chicago called Burnt Toast. And actually it was the same guy, Keith Grant, who got me into, wow. Keith, if you're watching this, thank you for, oh, man. Now I think back, he really hooked me up. So he got involved with this band called Burnt Toast that was like successfully working weekend party band in the northwest suburbs. And where was I going with this story? I've totally...
Drinking?
Oh my goodness.
Was it a drinking story, Josh?
Jägermeister crawling?
That band was sponsored by Jägermeister. So we had like, and I had been in the band for like a year. So when we got that sponsorship, so I remember like all of a sudden it's like we'd show up to the show and like we'd have the banner behind the stage, the Jägermeister presents Burnt Toast. And we would have to keep track of like how many bottles of Jaeger the bar sold that night, you know, and relay that information along. And a lot of times we would have the Jaeger girls at the show, and they would have like the ice sculpture where they'd have like, you know, some guy would like put his mouth under this thing, they'd pour Jaeger down the ice.
Right.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Wow.
Did you say that? The first band that I know that Jaeger sponsored was Lit.
Really? And there's a Carrie Kelly connection.
Yes, Kevin Baldes. I know Kevin. He's a great guy. But yeah, they told me that they drank so much Jaeger on tour that I think they were in New York and they just walked into the office and said, "Hey, sponsor us." You know, so they did, and there used to be a big picture of the singer AJ hanging in the office when you walked in.
Oh, amazing!
I'm convinced. You know, I'm convinced with all the stuff that the military has shot into me, and then all the Jaeger that I've drank, that you could actually inject, you know, the coronavirus in me, and my body would kill it. But so it's the 7 year.
It's possible.
It's true. I'm pretty sure. So,
I think Dr. Anthony Fauci is not agreeing with you right now, but we'll see.
So as a 7-year-old, does she get that her daddy has a cool job, that he's a rock star?
Yeah, she I don't know how she knows. Yeah. She it's fun with the kids, you know, because she's got like a karaoke machine, but then it's I'm taking like this whole other approach with teaching her piano. Like I have no idea. She's a total experiment at this point. I have no, you know, and it's up to her. I don't expect her to be as, you know, committed as I've been to the piano or to anything. But yeah, it's my dad was my first teacher, but I remember I got to the point where I couldn't practice when he was in the house, because if I started practicing when he was home, it would turn into piano lesson. And So, nice. It wasn't until years later that we were able to start jamming together, and then we were in bands together, and then I would get him to come. I even got him to come sit in with Garage Mahal.
Really?
got him up on stage with that band. Yeah. So, so I'm trying not to take that approach with the kids, to be like, you know, so intense with them that they don't want to practice around me. So I'm trying to just like, I've got this, no, I'm really tangenting, but I feel like maybe there's this spectrum of, we were talking before about classical music. It's like, maybe there's this spectrum of like, on one end of the spectrum, you've got a classical musician who is all about, like, you know, is a great reader and interpreter of compositions, and plays well with the orchestra and all the rest that goes along with it. Maybe on the other side of the spectrum, you've got somebody who can't read music at all, but who has like this amazing ear, where, you know, they'll hear somebody play something and they'll know what it is and they'll be able to play with that. And then I think most musicians fall somewhere along that spectrum, and there are a few out there who really legit are like great classical musicians and great improvisers. But for the most part, you know, we're on one side of the spectrum or the other, and I definitely fall on the more, you know, improvisational, creative side of things. and I feel like at least my 7-year-old does as well. So the approach I'm trying to take with her is if I can just get her like into playing music, and then a lot of times when I'm sitting with her in what I guess we would call a lesson, I'm more just like every once in a while, like, you know, I'll just tell her like, oh, that was a third you just played, or you know, I'll let her play whatever she's playing, and I'll just like comment from time to time. So, but it's a whole experiment right now. We'll see how it develops.
Yeah,
that's great.
It'll be interesting. So we are almost hitting 2.5 hours. So why don't we?
Wow, I didn't even
sorry about that, Eric.
No, this has been great.
So let's do this. Let's do. We were talking about maybe doing some little, you know, thing where we ask random questions at the end. I think me and Brent decided just to call it softball questions. So
questions about softball.
So I'll start the softball question. So did you hear about Steve Smith and Ross Valerie of Journey trying to kind of like do a coup and take over the Journey name? And they eventually got fired. I'm sure you did. But that's what happened. So let's speak hypothetically, Eric. You and Carrie Kelly perform a coup and you get the Night Ranger name. All right? You guys own it. But the judge says you have to hire one original member for it to exist. So who do you hire? Do you hire Jack? Do you hire Brad? Do you hire Kelly? Do you throw a little bit of a curve and call up Jeff? Or my personal favorite, do you call Alan Fitzgerald, and instead of having a dual guitar attack band, you guys become a dual keyboard attack band? So, or you can say, I'm just hiring, you know, Kelly, Jack, and Brad, or we can just edit this question out. But you're on the hot seat. Go.
He's changing the name to Foreigner is what he's doing.
Cold.
I just want you to pick someone besides Jack, so I could just, you know, just so you have to explain that to him.
Right.
Eric's like, no comment.
Seeing as Jack got me in the band, I don't see how I could,
Yeah.
in clear conscience, pick anybody else.
Oh, yeah, well,
Yeah, well, you gotta figure. Kelly's got the heart condition.
But
hey,
And Brent and I are both drummers, so we're ready.
We're ready. You know us now.
I can play Comfort Me.
hey, and
I will never perform a coup, but that is the first time anybody's ever asked me anything remotely like that.
Probably the last time.
well, you probably couldn't answer the question without talking to Kerry because he owns half the name in this scenario too. But I did
He
jump.
owns Night.
Yeah,
Night.
you own the Ranger.
Yeah.
Hey,
Kerry's my unofficial financial advisor. that guy's like successful.
Really?
well, Aces and Ales.
Yeah, he's got three. Yeah, he's got a chain of Aces and Ales in Las Vegas, and they're great. Love those spots. Yeah.
Awesome for him, man.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But the reason why we got you on the show was to talk about I don't know if you know about it, Eric, was this band called Echo Bats.
Oh, Echo Bats. Yes. Speaking of
Yeah.
Night Ranger
That's
past
a
and
nice
present
segue.
members.
So we're going to release this video on July 1st. You guys have this. I take it it's a single coming out July 3rd with Tony Harnell, Joel from Night Ranger, James Lomenzo, who was in White Lions, played with Ace Frehley of Kiss, Megadeth, Matt Starr, who is the current Ace Frehley drummer, and gentleman and a scholar, Eric Levy. So tell us a little bit about how that came about with Echo Bats.
Sure. Yeah, and like I wouldn't be surprised if you know more than I do about what's coming out when. But really, that was Joel reaching out to me and being like, hey, I'm involved in this project and we got this song and are you into it? And when I heard it, I was like, wow, it's like it's deep musically. It's really, I guess, yeah. You're releasing this podcast before the song's being released, but it's, yeah, in my opinion, I'm like, wow, this is, and it's hooky. Yeah, I was really into it. And, I mean, above and beyond all that, it's, when you're in a band with somebody, that's like a whole kind of bonding, and I think especially because of Joel, kind of he was like he was like the guy who was like kind of helping me, showing me the ropes when I first got in the band, and some of his advice, just like simple things he told me back then that have just like completely shaped my way of thinking ever since. Like one thing he told me was he's like when strangers write to you on the internet, don't feel like you have to write them like the whole thing in return. He's like, even if it's just like a word or a couple words, a lot of times, if you can just do that. And I stuck with that. It's like, I really try and get back to people, I'm like, okay, even if it's just a couple words, I've taken his, I've taken his advice on that one. Oh, and another, I think was crucial for me was, he was like, okay, I know you're coming from this whole jam band thing where it's all about improvisation. But he's like, this is Night Ranger is more like classical music, where Night Ranger is more about execution. And so, like, here's the part, what the part is. Can you nail it night after night after night? That's,
yeah.
To go along with everything else. So, that's really stuck with me as well. I think that was really what I needed to hear at the time, too, coming from a band where it was like, oh, we're just going to get up on stage and make stuff up. And, sometimes it's probably going to sound like kind of crappy, but, sometimes if it's really hitting, then it really, so I think I needed to hear that kind of advice from Joel. But anyway, I've tangented. Echo Bats. I'm thrilled to be part of this, and everybody who's involved is talented. I love the music. So,
were you guys as a band excited to be touring, with Joel and Whitesnake this summer? Was that something you were looking forward to?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. It's, the guys joke with me that I basically hadn't given up drinking, but I didn't really drink much at all until we toured with Sammy Hagar last year. And then like suddenly I'm like asking for beers on stage, and they're like, "What happened to you? Like, you tour with Sammy Hagar, and now you're asking for beers on stage."
Does anybody have a better life than Sammy?
Doesn't he?
I was so excited about what we had lined up this year, and right. That we were going to have Whitesnake there and hanging with Joel, hanging with Reb, and those dudes. Yeah, we had an amazing year. We were scheduled to play Sweden Rock, opening for Guns N' Roses. 2020, like going into this year, I was so psyched. I was like, this is gonna be so much fun. 2020 is gonna be so much fun.
This year's brutal.
Are they looking at rescheduling that 2020 tour with Sammy for next year? Is that not on the cards or not even discussed yet?
I cannot answer that question, except to say that it's my it's my sincerest hope that that tour comes about in the future. Yeah,
Awesome.
That's what I'm hoping for, no doubt.
Sammy's great.
So
musically too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is the whole circle is Fitz has his early history was with Sammy and the whole Montrose era and Gamma and stuff, and Night Ranger has a real close history with Sammy. I mean, Jeff Watson auditioned, was for Sammy Hagar's band before Night Ranger, and Night Ranger. Yeah, I don't know much of the story. I know he didn't get the gig, but I know that he was familiar with those guys, with the Sammy Hagar band, and I always say his last name wrong. Gary Pill, right, Brent? Peel.
Oh, Peel.
Who was playing with Sammy back in the late 70s, early 80s, was very important in the beginning of Night Ranger. So, Sammy Hagar and Night Ranger have a long history, and it's just, Alan Fitzgerald and Eric Levy both with a Sammy Hagar connection. What's going on with Night Ranger right now? Are you guys writing, recording, or just kind of in a stationary mode right now?
Please be writing.
In regards to Alan Fitzgerald, by the way, I've never met him, but with all humility, seriously, that man is responsible for the last decade of my life.
Yeah,
and it's, for that I'm forever thankful. And if I ever get a chance to meet him, I will thank him. And beyond all that, the way that his keyboard parts, when I first joined the band, when I was listening to your podcast going on 3.5 hours now, but
that's all right.
When I was listening to for instance, the Rockin' America verse, which is
yes,
and I'm checking out that piano part, and it's like, did he even play that with one hand? Like, how did he do that? Like, that's not the kind of part that you usually hear. He's very distinctive with his sound design too. But it's like it started to like really kind of like circle around in my head, and this is probably completely imagined in my well, if I'm going to tell anybody about my Night Ranger imaginations, it should be your podcast.
Exactly.
So, in my head, I imagine that like Jeff Watson with his 8-fingered technique was influencing Alan Fitzgerald to also play with a technique where he wasn't like the traditional way of playing keyboards is like a lot, like playing something with your left hand and then maybe playing something with your right hand. But in rock and roll, a lot of times, you're only playing 2 notes at a time anyway, maybe. So, but it's like his. So yeah, in my imagination, it's like Jeff Watson's like inspiring Alan Fitzgerald to like start playing these 2-handed melodies. And wow, I'll get really deep as long as we were talking about the family. When I was a kid, when I got to the point where I was in high school and I could play a little bit better, and I'd be jamming out with my dad. I remember one day we were jamming out, and I stopped him, and he was playing saxophone, and I was playing piano, and I stopped him and I said, why can you play faster than I can? And his answer was, because I'm playing saxophone, and you can play faster on a saxophone than you can play on a keyboard. And for years I believed that. And then to get nerdy again, I was studying putting my sample drives together for my computer, and studying what they call RAID configurations, RAID, which I'm not going to pretend I know exactly what it stands for, but the idea is that you can get hard drives, and if you put them together and you group them together, not only does it give you the storage space of both, but you can configure it where it's actually faster, which is important with like if I'm playing, trying to play a string ensemble with my fingers, that becomes important. So I just completely lost
you can play.
It's about playing faster.
Okay, RAID configuration. So thank you.
He's teaching a class.
So I had this insight when I was studying RAID configurations, and how is it that these configurations of hard drives are faster together than they ever could be by themselves. And I read somebody said an analogy where it's like if you're doing laundry with 2 hands as opposed to doing laundry with 1 hand. It's going to be faster if you've got 2 hands doing it. And suddenly I put it together with my fingers, and I said, oh, it's not that you can play a saxophone faster than you can play a keyboard. It's that when you're playing saxophone, all of your fingers, all 10 of them, are you can only play one note at a time. So all 10 of your fingers are contributing to the melody. So as long as I'm playing melody with all 10 fingers, wow. And, but I didn't, it was a combination between Alan Fitzgerald's approach to playing keyboards and then subsequently reading, doing this research that it clicked for me. And that's when I started this approach of like, okay, I've been lazy for all these years. I've got, like this finger is a lot stronger than this finger. What would happen if I actually started really trying to work on all of them? So yeah, I have Alan Fitzgerald to thank not only for Night Ranger and my career, but really for my musical path.
Wow, that's a great story.
Go on with with talking about Alan. Is there, for me, the song "When You Close Your Eyes" during the verses, you don't realize how key Alan's playing is in those verses. I mean, you're concentrating on Jack's vocals, but Alan is just making those verses, just rock, and they got a great flow, and it's so subtle that you don't pick it up. Was there ever a song when you're going back and looking at those early albums that surprised you? Wow, that right there is either just more creative than you would ever thought, or more difficult? Was there one song that really stuck out with his playing that just really amazed you from a musician point of view?
Rumors in the Air.
Yeah. It's really. I think Rockin' America and Rumors in the Air are the two. Yeah, because the Rumor solo is the same thing, where it's like you can't play. If I were to try and play that, I'm not even going to try and play that with one hand. Like it's when I was learning that, it's like, how did he do this?
He's playing right along with them.
How did he do this? And it was only when I'm like, okay, I just have to use both hands playing melody that it's like, okay. Yeah,
that's it. I need nothing else for the night. Well, maybe some ice cream, but other than that.
Now I want to hear you play Saga on the Loose.
Oh my God.
Right on.
Well,
that one, and also the Rockin' America, like the that break right before the verses, before verse 1 and 2, where Brad plays the I haven't played it. I'm like, I haven't played a show in too long. What are those notes?
We need to change that.
Yeah, so Brad plays like da da da. And it's when I was learning that, I'm like, how do you play that with one hand? Like, you can't. That's got to be two hands. So, yeah, those are the. But then his sound design though too, like really, things like the. Here you go. I can actually do. Can I do this?
Call My Name.
Call My Name.
Call My Name's a great song.
Great.
Well, and then Sentimental Street, I mean, that opening.
Call My Name.
I'm seeing if I can. Where am I? Master mode.
I'm willing to PayPal money right now if we keep playing songs.
Yeah. Okay. Where are my plugins? Turn this one on. Okay, so yeah, if you really want the whole thing, so yeah, Call My Name. I'll start it.
Oh man.
We're all gonna sing.
Jesus.
So, but when we get to that outro section, it's like, to me, the guitar solo section at the end of Call My Name is, I think, maybe my favorite Night Ranger moment in any Night Ranger song.
Really?
The guitar solo at the end, the way that it like loops around.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got these two sliders over here, and I bring them up to combine with the piano sound at the end, and then I'll do the.
Oh man.
Bum, 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 bum.
Oh.
The way that section loops back around itself is brilliant.
Yeah. Oh, God, that was so amazing.
Right on.
I'm not going to go to work tomorrow.
Oh,
now.
Seriously, God, that's well. So, Eric, I was going to ask you, man. Hang on.
Andrew, calm down.
It's
calm
just
down.
awesome. It's
We're,
just awesome.
We're all, we're all over here. We're all over here shaking.
You got your depends on. You're
We're
okay.
not worthy. We're not worthy.
Yeah. Well, so 2 questions is three actually is do you have a favorite Night Ranger song that you really enjoy playing? Do you have a favorite keyboard part? And then is there a song that you wish they would play? Whether it's yours or old catalog, just something you like. Guys, I wish we'd just play this song.
Can we play something from Hole in the Sun so I can at least get my money's worth from when I bought that?
I mean, I learned the whole album.
And then just and then suggest one of the last 2 tracks off the album just to give a little dagger to him.
For the love of God, I'm falling on my sword here.
You know what? You know what you really need to do? You really need to have on the next album you all do. That should be your bonus track, "Falling on the Sword." You ought to write that song.
Well, you need to do that.
Well, Eric,
it has no time signature.
How funny would that be, especially now?
Serious question off of Brent's comment there. Is a solo project something you would ever consider? Do you have, is it, I can't remember his name, Todd Suckerman, I think the drummer for Styx. He just released an album, and I was amazed by his vocals. You sing some backup, and would a solo album be something that you would consider down the road?
Yeah, it's wow. How do I answer that question?
Yes or no would do fine.
I've got like maybe 3 solo albums at this point recorded that I've never released, and part of that is because I don't feel like I have the time to. Well, now that I say that out loud, things sure are different in 2020 than they used to be. It's at the time that I recorded one in maybe 2005 that I don't think I'll ever. Well, I don't know. We'll see. And that's not just
You know what? You just need to dig one out, and we'll make it an exclusive on the Fans in Motion website.
There you go. Simple.
Wow. Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate it. I think at some point around 2013, 2014, I think if I had been on this pendulum of like Garage Mahal playing like, super improvisational creative stuff and, not really worried about the money, sitting in vans, but like in it for the passion and in it for the music. And, like the pendulum going totally swinging like, oh, now I'm playing in a successful band and I'm taking these nice bus tours and okay, now I'm starting to have kids. But I think like maybe my pendulum started to like, balance out a little bit more when I made this realization where, I was like, the majority of my friends, were friends of mine who had been my friends in that portion of my life, I guess, in the Garage Mahal years of being like, it's like there's this, like people are just, everybody it seems to me are just trying to still be on this old paradigm of like, I'm going to make a hit album and I'm going to be involved with this song, I'm going to be involved with this album that's going to, all these things that used to be where it was like, there used to be, that used to be very lucrative. Recording used to be very lucrative. Yeah. And not to say that it can't still be under certain circumstances. Of course it is. But it's certainly also not as lucrative as it was before Napster. You know, it's the whole scene has changed so much. So yeah, I think I got to this point where I was watching friends of mine who were very talented musicians, but who were like really just still trying to like, you know, be involved in a hit song, you know, so they could, you know, be making that money, when it's like, you know, that's not the money it used to be, and that's not the way things used to be. So I think at a certain point I started trying to run the other direction, and I was like, okay, well, you know, what are the people with like followers on YouTube doing? And it's you know, what can I do that's more looking toward the future? So at the moment I'm making videos, and I'm just like putting them on the internet for free, because that's what because that's where I'm at right now. And I can say that I am the most creative. I feel like I'm the most creatively fulfilled that I've ever been. You know, including those years of traveling around in a van for the love of the music. It's you know, I feel like I can record whatever I want, and I've got the ultimate studio set up around me. You know, with these keyboards that I love all set up and ready to go. And yeah, it's like if I were to try and replicate this on stage, that would be nuts. That would be absolutely crazy. And what kind of no way. I'm trying to now embrace looking forward, and just, you know, I feel like I have the opportunity, and I'm fortunate. I'm very fortunate, you know, and I do believe that concerts will come back, and Night Ranger will come back, and you know, and I feel incredibly fortunate, and so I feel like I'm able to do this and just have it be solely about the creativity, and with video, it's like I can be conveying something in a deeper way than I could through audio alone. And the final thing I guess I'll say about that is that while I love working on albums, I love the recording process, I love overdubbing, and you know, let's find like some cool keyboard moment that we can stick right there, that's, you know, I love that process. I absolutely love it. But I think like in my essence, my favorite thing to do is to play live music. And I love to improvise, just make stuff up on the spot, and just like not even think, just watch myself do it, not to get too philosophical.
Right.
But
see where it goes.
Yeah. Just play whatever off. So,
is that what you're doing on those videos that you post on Facebook, you know, almost every day? Is that just you just kind of letting yourself go, or are those pre-planned? I mean, to me, again, that's music that I'm not familiar with, but to me, it almost seems like it's just what you're feeling at that moment, because I see you there playing, and next thing I know, you're in the swivel chair and you're going over somewhere else, and it's just like, you know, if you're just almost like you're thinking out loud, but how, you know, instead of words, you're just going to different keyboards and, you know, organs. Is that music spontaneous, or is it something you think out?
Oh, wow. Thanks for asking me that question. Thank you. Thank you very much. Seriously, thank you. Yeah, I think in these pandemic times, I've gone a little bit further into thinking them out. But so far I've been doing a lot with loops, and I've been using this. It's software that's been around for a long time. It's called Stylus RMX, and so for years and years and years, like going back to the early days of loop libraries, when this stuff was brand new, and so there's some amazing things that were recorded so long ago that they're almost impossible to find. Like for instance, Steve Smith recorded loop library. I don't even know who. and I tried to find this on the internet for years, and I was finally I was playing with Under the Street Lamp, this wonderful group that I tour with when I'm able to around Night Ranger's schedule, and the drummer on that gig was said, "Hey, we somehow got talking about Steve Smith," and he's like, "Yeah, I've even got Steve Smith's old loop collection." I was like, "You're kidding me? You have that? I've been looking everywhere for that." Wow. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll send it to you." So that's how I acquired that. But like going back to the earliest days of loops, people were recording in this format that works with this software. So I'm just trying to make these things feel like they're alive and just like jam with them. And I don't know. It's, again, not to get too philosophical, but at what point is AI sentient and conscious? And to what extent is the software jamming back with me, or is it really all random numbers, completely random numbers?
So anyway. Are you playing to a click track when you say you at like 108 beats a minute? I mean, do you have a click going, or is it in your ear?
Well, here.
Or a metronome sitting somewhere?
I can demonstrate in about 30 seconds if you're.
Well, do you guys record with a click with Night Ranger?
Yes.
Oh man, that's impressive. I can't play to a click. I get completely lost because I'm waiting to hear the click.
It would. I would say it would be. I think it would be incredibly difficult to be remote recording.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Without, yeah, like if you've got people in a room together and it's like, okay, yeah, we're not going to use a click. We're going to be completely organic about it. Then yeah, most definitely. Right. There are. It's, in my opinion, there are things you give up with when you have the click. Again, to look at things on a spectrum, it's like. I think as musicians, we have a propensity to like, okay, we want things to be as perfect as we can make them because we're trying to play things right. So we want to be able to record them so that they're right. And so I think there's a propensity for us to want to correct things, if you will, and say, oh, I played that and it felt good, but now I'm looking at it and it's not on the line. So,
right.
It's not on the grid. So I'm going to take that note and I'm going to move it over so it's playing on the grid. And so it's like we're correct. We have this ability now to correct ourselves, but I think we give up something in that process. And the thing that we give up is humanity, really is humanity. And I feel that way too about bands that play live. And, I'll tell you, Night Ranger does not play with tracks, not a single song. It's the closest we get to tracks is I didn't load up the sample, so it won't work. But me hitting the first note on Secret of My Success.
Yeah. I knew that's
what
you were going to say.
Right.
That's the closest we get to tracks.
Just a sample.
Yeah, is me holding down that sample. Yeah. We've got we're fortunate to have Rich Russo on the crew, who's a drummer himself. And he's filled in for Kelly when Kelly was going through the heart surgery, and a fabulous musician in his own right. So we're fortunate to have him on the click on the live shows, but we use it sparingly though too. It's like we pick our spots with it. It's even the click we pick our spots with it. So it's. Yeah, and I feel like, I hope I'm not talking out of turn. I can't say that forever Night Ranger will never use any tracks, but the purist in me loves it.
Yeah.
Loves it.
Yeah. It becomes inevitable sometimes. I mean, Kiss is doing it now, and they deny it. But I walk away after I spend $125 for a ticket. Walking away feeling like I heard a better version of Paul Stanley than I'd rather hear the better version than I mean, I'm not, like I said, I'm inside of a Kiss room right now. They're like my all-time favorite band since I was a little kid. You and Kiss. I saw Night Ranger. Andy and I both saw Night Ranger on Dawn Patrol open for Kiss. You know, so that's where our roots start with Night Ranger.
Wow.
Hey guys, we are closing in on 3 hours,
and I still got to go to work tomorrow
well,
morning.
hey, I just pissed.
I'll say this.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
It's fine. We're gonna make this a 2-part episode. I just pissed myself, so I'm good for another hour, man. So
I don't know about another hour.
But
I want to watch TV.
So let's wrap this. Let's wrap this up. So we got Echo Bats coming out next week in 2 days.
Yes.
I just pissed myself. You can't hook me up with Doc McGee to money launder. We still
checking all the boxes.
We know he would hire Jack instead of Brad or Kelly. I'll let you explain that to them.
Oh Lord.
Do you know if Jack or Brad or Kelly, are they still in touch with Alan, or is there no communication there, or is that just something you're not privy to?
Wow. I haven't asked.
Mm-hmm.
But it's if anybody's going to find Alan, I would think it's of the three of you.
It'd just be cool if he showed up at a show.
He's in Florida right now, so he's in Eastern time zone. But I'll call him
just trying to verify his connection.
If I ever have an opportunity to speak with him, or it's like seriously, humility and gratitude is where I'm coming from.
Sure.
Yeah. So just we got so many, with technology nowadays. There's so many interviews with Jack and Brad and Kelly, and even with Jeff. Just there's not much out there with Alan, and it would just be great to just get that whole life story. And I was just wondering, at the 3-hour mark, I just throw it out there and just see if anybody was still in communication with him. I got to meet him a couple times, so he was always cool. It was always fun to talk to him, and I was real young, so I was asking him questions I would never probably ask today of of musicians.
Like what his favorite Ninja Turtle was.
No, I was asking like, hey, why didn't you get the songwriting credit on this if you did this, and just stuff you wouldn't ask today. But if you do run into Alan, tell him to come on the Fans in Motion podcast. Yeah. Are you learning anything, Eric, from the page? Have you seen any cool stuff that we've posted and you're like, holy cow?
Yeah, it's great.
What a bunch of nerds.
I keep clicking over. I'll see the Fans in Motion and on Facebook and click over and see. I've been liking a ton of them, and it's great. I love what you guys are doing, and really thank you for offering me a chance to be a part of it. I'm not on the other side of the curtain, I guess, of seeing it, but I want to be. It's like the way that I feel about playing a show. It's like doing the live stream is great. I love that I can do it and I can be completely creative. But it's like it's not like I'm getting back what I'm getting back. Playing a Night Ranger show, and having everybody singing and this immense amount of energy that's coming from from every person who's there. It's everybody who's there who we're all feeding into this energy. So it's amazing. And amazing what you're doing. Thank you. I want to know what you're experiencing too, and hear about what that experience is like.
Well,
sure.
I think that the good thing about the page is it's finally kind of got a almost like a home, a base where like-minded Night Ranger fans can actually come and show off collections or stories or their photos, of their shows. And it just makes, we all thought we were, nerds out there on our own, but no, there's a family out there. And, I don't know if Jack likes it because I put a lot of Rubicon stuff up, and I don't know if he's a big fan of those glasses, still, but, I love posting all that old stuff. And,
I think you look cool. Yeah, when I see those old,
Well, I tell you what,
I think he looks styling.
who cares what he looks like? the playing on the Cow Jam Live. I can't remember the name of the track, but you see a whole different side of Jack Blades, at that funk bass, and so it's cool. And we all are learning stuff from the page, and we get comments. I just talked to someone today who was asking me about can't remember his name off the top of my head, but asking me, what albums did they release? Was it Japan and this, and did they have alternate covers? And I'm trying to answer as many questions as I can. So it's got him back into collecting, and so it's the page is really great. And we get it's Wednesday night, and Andrew and Brent and I are talking to Eric Levy of Night Ranger. I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah. Oh, right on. I really appreciate you inviting me on. For sure. This has been great.
Well,
if you need our autographs, we're more than willing to sign anything you want.
Well, I would invite you on sooner, but we are learning as we go, and you are only the second episode. You will be also the third episode. We're going to divide this in two of us recording on a new system, and I didn't want to ask you too quick because I knew we didn't really know what the hell we were doing. We really don't know what the hell we're doing now, but at least we can fake it a little bit,
Shows.
So
whatever never be afraid to ask, please.
Well,
that's amazing, Eric. Thank you.
And
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Josh.
Nope. Go ahead. I don't even know what the hell I was
say. I think the great thing about the page is, day one when was talking to Josh, and Josh was like, "I'm thinking about starting a Night Ranger page," and I knew I wanted to be in on it immediately. The great thing is, we decided, we love all eras of the band. Your era is just important to me as, I don't know, what you consider the classic era. Whatever. We love Night Ranger, period. And we make sure that the fans, so far we haven't had to do any policing as far as that goes, have we, Josh?
Nope.
It seems like everybody's getting along. Everybody appreciates what everybody's done, past and present. And, and we just hope, like I said, we hope the band, though, appreciates what the fans are bringing to it. Because, like I said, it's not about us three. It's about all of them. And, that's why I always tell them it's their page. They just have a place to come to now. And
tell them not to sue us.
Yeah. I don't think I can get in trouble for making my own fonts up, that were never made.
I think it looks great, but I'm not a lawyer.
I will PM your Eric Levy logo, and if you want it in any colors, I can do anything you want. I have to hand draw them on my computer. And everybody's been asking, and I'm like, no, those take about 5 hours a piece. We ain't doing that.
Wow. Well, thanks. Sure. Yeah.
Yours was easy. I already had enough letters from other people's names. It was easy to incorporate. It went a little bit faster, but I'll make it better than what it is. Andrew,
you got any parting words?
No, just Eric. We hope you guys keep putting out new music. It's weird to say it just keeps getting better, but you guys are just getting better. I've taken a few people who never saw Night Ranger to their first shows in last year or year before, and they're like, they sound amazing. I'm like, I know. I've been seeing them since '83. I know. Come on. And, again, we all there's an episode we did. We ranked the albums, and Don't Let Up is just right there. It's so good. And it's a testament to you guys that you're still writing great songs. And you're a key to that. So thank you so much for your time, Eric.
Yeah, wow. and performing at a high level.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
That, and you're great doing stuff like this. You're a great ambassador to the band. I hope Kelly and Jack and Brad realize that you're a true asset. And on that, Eric, we will end the show. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to have you back again.
Would love to. Yeah.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
So how was that? Don't tell me.
Are you referring to my singing?
talking about Eric Levy in that interview, him playing those parts of the songs. It was great. him agreeing to do this with us. I have thanked him 100 times since this interview. I definitely hope he joins us again. Brent, what was your thoughts?
I thought Eric couldn't have been a kinder person to do this for us. I'm so thankful I yelled out, "Call my name," and when he went into it, I'm like, oh my God, he just took a request. That's so great. I think that's when you went back.
That was it. And it was great for him to do that. We're a young podcast. We don't have that many episodes. We don't have all that many views, but it was cool for him to still agree to do that with us, and I definitely will be forever grateful, and I'm sure Brent and Andy both agree with that as well. So hopefully go ahead.
Sorry. I didn't know what we were going to get out of him because he had previously done a podcast about a month earlier, and I had no idea how long it was going to last. What time did we finally sign off? Eastern Standard Time, was it like 2 a.m.?
Yeah, I mean, it was probably somewhere around there, 2:30.
It was worth it. It was worth it. I was so dead-ass tired the next day at work, but God, I couldn't believe. And then I lay there till 3, I think, on the couch, because I went late on the couch so I wouldn't wake my wife up. And, laying on the couch, thinking about, oh my God, thinking about another man. That don't sound right.
Well, I'm sure Eric will be glad to hear that.
Well, he'll come back.
He'll know
He'll come back.
There's some guy on the East Coast laying in bed in the middle of the night thinking of me.
On the couch. I was on the couch. Different.
But definitely, like I said, a great interview. If you enjoyed it, go back to the previous episode, I think episode 4, where we interview Greg Eckler from Rubicon. Coming up, we have, I think, the next episode is going to be a really great episode. We're going to get into a topic it's surrounded with a lot of mystery, just not a lot of information. We'll leave it at that. That'll be the next episode. And I think we're going to, like I said, we're going to throw in some, the album focus again. 7 Wishes is back, is on the schedule to be done here soon. Hopefully some other cool interviews are in the works as well. Like I said, we'll probably do a collector's episode. So we got a lot going. So hopefully all you Night Ranger fans out there are enjoying this as much as we are. Again, give us any feedback. If you are listening to us on YouTube, leave us a comment. Go on there, click the subscribe button. If you're on YouTube and you don't follow the page on Facebook, go to Fans in Motion Night Ranger Tribute. You'll see our logo and everything. Just click on there, click join. We're almost at 1,000. We're counting down the last 100 to get to 1,000 members of the group. So, and
I know a lot of the group members are getting excited about that too. They keep saying, what are you going to do for the 1,000th person? I'm like, thanks for joining.
Well, I have some stuff I may try to give away. It's hard to do it randomly, so I'll figure that out down the road. We will have a website soon. We will have these podcasts available on iTunes, Spotify, all those different streaming options. So that's our next goal. That'll probably be done by the middle of the month. So with that, this is where we usually talk about any new music that we've listened to. You mentioned that you got the new Lit Live CD or Live MP3.
That was a couple weeks ago, yeah.
Now, there's really not much new music coming out, but this came out last year. A band called The Defiance has Paul Lane, who at one time was in Danger, Bruno Ravel from Danger, and Rob Marcello, who has been in
Europe.
Well, he's from Sweden.
That was Keith Marcello, wasn't it?
But Rob he's from Sweden, but he is in Danger now, and he played with. He actually came to America and got his start with Ron Keel, and the band Iron Horse has.
He was fantastic,
and also played on a album called 24/7 with Bobby Blotzer and John Corabi that came out about 15 years ago. Anyways, very melodic, very cool. I dig it. It's the second album. I haven't really listened to the first album as much, but the second album is really cool. So if you get a chance, go check it out. If you're a fan of Night Ranger, you'll like this stuff. Love is the Killer. Hold On Tonight. Stay. 3 great tracks. Definitely, like I said, if you're wanting some new music, go check it out. With that, Brent, we got anything to close out this episode with?
Yeah. As usual, I want to thank everybody for joining the page, participating on the page, watching the podcast. Thank Josh and Andy for doing a great job. And hey, stick in there. You never know when your name's going to get to be a logo. It does take time. I'll say that every week. It does take a lot of time. I'm actually getting ready to design one for another male on the page. So that's just a hint to all you males on the page with enough letters that are going to fit. I'm not trying to be mean, but like I said, if your name's too big, I haven't worked out a way to do that yet. Like, so if Joel Hoekstra ever comes on the show, I don't know how we're going to do a logo for him. He might just get the font,
Now, remember, guys, that he's making logos for you, that he may actually be thinking of you while he lays on his couch. So,
thank you for that. I don't think so. No.
And it's just the names. Just the names that he doesn't like that are big. It's just the names. Everything else can be big. It's just the names that he doesn't like.
Wow. I'm so glad this is at the end of the episode where
no one's listening.
Jesus gosh.
So listen, if you want a Night Ranger logo and you're a male, what I would suggest is
you wait. Hell's pay, buddy. There's hell to pay.
Telepathically,
you're gonna have your day.
Telepathically communicate with him while he's on his couch, and you will get a Night Ranger logo. So with that, we've gone off the rails. No one's listening at this point.
There ain't no we in this. It's you, buddy. It's you.
Well, that's what happens. Andy's not here to corral us in. That's why we need.
You joining in. What are you talking about?
We need someone to corral us in.
Right.
All right. Based on that, let's wrap this up. Again, thanks to Eric Levy for agreeing to do this. Join us. Like I said, we're going to release these every Tuesday. So next Tuesday,
my seat might look like this.
Again, I'm just going to leave it as that.
Yes.
So
yes.
Anyways, let's just leave it at that. I don't even know how to end it. All right.
Turn your head back when I smack. Okay, thank you, Josh. May I have another? Thank you.
All right. Listen, any complaints, send them to Brent. On that note, we are getting off here. Later.